It's not a frozen man, it's something much smaller and far more dangerous. In 2021, scientists revived a microscopic organism that had been frozen for 24,000 years in Siberian permafrost. And against all odds, it came back to life, as if time had never passed. This creature, called a Deloid rotifer, can do something no human ever has. Completely pause its body, protect itself from cold, radiation, dehydration, and then simply keep on living. True biological pause button. But here's the curious part. The secrets hidden inside this tiny being might change everything we know about aging, preservation, and maybe, just maybe, immortality. What once sounded like science fiction is now a real field of study. And understanding how this creature survived may point us to something even bigger. How to overcome time itself. In 2021, a curious event caught the attention of the scientific community and the entire world. Researchers managed to revive a microscopic organism that had been frozen for an impressive 24,000 years in the Siberian permafrost. This tiny creature is a Deloid rotifer, an animal so small you can hardly imagine it, yet it carries a complex and surprising biology. It's hard to imagine something so small surviving such extreme conditions, frozen for thousands of years without losing its vital functions. These organisms have a secret. They enter a state called cryptobiosis, where they practically pause their entire metabolism. It's as if they shut down to wait for life to return, a strategy that defies ancient mysteries of survival. During cryptobiosis, the rotifer transforms, becoming practically invincible to time and the environment. Imagine a mechanism so efficient that it allows these creatures to withstand freezing temperatures, radiation, and even severe drought. They are masters of natural freezing, stopping life without dying. It's curious to think that, while we humans struggle against aging and bodily wear, these tiny beings manage to put it all on pause, almost as if they found a formula to cheat the effects of time. For science, understanding this process could open doors to advances in many areas, from organ preservation for transplants to cryogenics research. What makes this discovery even more fascinating is that, after thousands of years trapped in ice, these rotifers awoke to life as if time hadn't passed for them. It truly challenges historical facts and what we understand about life and death. These tiny organisms make us question what it really means to be alive, and how life can persist in conditions that seem impossible. And this is just the beginning of the journey, as these beings hold other incredible secrets that could change our view on resilience, aging, and even immortality itself. During cryptobiosis, Deloid rotifers produce something truly curious: special proteins called chaperones. These microscopic guardians are like tiny bodyguards for the rotifer cells, preventing damage caused by misfolded proteins, the kind of chaos inside the body that, in humans, is linked to aging, cancer, and diseases like Alzheimer's. Think of it like this. While we age and our cells start making mistakes, rotifers hit the pause button and let these chaperones clean up the mess. It's a fact interesting enough to spark the imagination of scientists around the world. And here's the twist. These creatures don't just survive. They protect themselves on a cellular level better than anything we know. While they're sleeping in cryptobiosis, their bodies remain stable through freezing cold, high doses of radiation, dehydration, and oxygen deprivation. That's not science fiction, that's nature. For researchers, this opens up an exciting field. What if we could mimic that same protection in humans? Imagine preserving organs for weeks without damage, or helping cells recover after trauma, radiation, or extreme stress. It's the kind of mystery that makes science feel like a treasure hunt. Now stretch that idea a little further. If rotifers can avoid aging and cell death while frozen for tens of thousands of years, what does that mean for us? Could we one day use similar biological tools to extend human life? Maybe even slow aging in a meaningful way? These are no longer wild guesses. They're real questions being studied in cutting-edge labs. And believe it or not, rotifers aren't alone in this game. There are other creatures out there, just as strange and just as resilient, waiting to reveal even more secrets about the true limits of life. Rotifers have been around for a very, very long time. We're talking about survivors from the end of the last ice age. The Pleistocene, over 20,000 years ago. That alone is already a curious fact. But what really grabs scientists' attention is how these tiny creatures manage to survive and thrive through time, without depending on a partner to reproduce. They reproduce through parthenogenesis, a process where females clone themselves by laying unfertilized eggs. In other words, every rotifer is basically a copy of its mother. No males needed. It's an efficient, fast, and surprisingly successful method that has helped them multiply even after spending millennia frozen in ice. Now, you might think that cloning like this would lead to problems. After all, if everyone's a copy, isn't that risky? Doesn't that make a species fragile, especially in a changing world? That's the interesting part. Even with low genetic diversity, Deloid rotifers didn't just survive. They spread across the planet and evolved into hundreds of different species. It's a biological mystery that goes against what most textbooks teach. Somehow, despite being genetic clones, they've managed to adapt to different environments, resist diseases, and keep thriving without the need for sexual reproduction. This weird superpower, reproducing alone and still evolving, is one of the many things that make rotifers so fascinating. They're proof that life doesn't always follow the rules. And maybe, just maybe, understanding their unusual path could lead us to rethink how we define evolution, survival, and even what it means to be fit for life. But the surprises don't stop there. Because the rotifer has another trick up its sleeve. And this one sounds more like science fiction than science. If cloning themselves for millions of years wasn't impressive enough, Deloid rotifers have another card up their microscopic sleeve. They steal genes. Literally. Through a process called horizontal gene transfer, these tiny creatures can absorb genetic material from bacteria, fungi, and even plants, and use it as if it were their own. Imagine opening a toolbox and finding a screwdriver you didn't even know you had. But that fits perfectly. That's what the rotifer does with foreign DNA. It's one of the most curious tricks in nature, and it's helped them become masters of adaptation. This ability gives them serious survival advantages. By borrowing genes from other life forms, rotifers can repair their DNA more efficiently, produce protective proteins, and become more resistant to things like dehydration, radiation, and toxic environments. They aren't alone in this extreme club. Tardigrades, those famous water bears, and nematodes, tiny roundworms, also show incredible resistance to stress. But here's a fascinating fact. Rotifers have actually been tested in space. In experiments aboard the International Space Station, they survived vacuum, cosmic radiation, and microgravity, conditions that would kill most other forms of life. It's moments like these that make you stop and ask, what else are we missing? These microscopic life forms, barely visible to the eye, are quietly rewriting what we know about biology. They survive where others perish. They adapt without changing. And somehow they endure not just on Earth but possibly beyond it. Which raises one of the most exciting and mysterious possibilities. If life this resilient exists here, could it also exist elsewhere? And what would that mean for our future, especially if we dream of exploring the stars? When people hear the word hibernation, they often picture bears curled up in caves, not humans preparing for space travel. But here's a fact that sounds almost like science fiction. By studying extremophiles like rotifers, scientists are slowly exploring ways to apply the same survival strategies to human health. The idea of putting the body into a paused, protected state, similar to cryptobiosis, could someday revolutionize medicine. Imagine doctors being able to freeze a patient between life and death during emergencies, or preserve organs for transplants without the usual time limit. It's one of those curious possibilities where biology and futuristic technology shake hands. And it doesn't stop there. One of the biggest mysteries we face as humans is aging. Why we age, how to slow it down, and whether it can ever be stopped. Rotifers might hold part of that answer. Their ability to shut down and restart without damage challenges everything we know about cellular decay. Some researchers are already studying how the proteins and genetic repair systems in rotifers could be adapted to protect human DNA over time. It's a fact interesting enough to give hope in the fight against neurodegenerative diseases, or even to improve life expectancy. We're not talking about immortality, not yet, but we are inching closer to understanding it. Now picture the future. A human mission to Mars lasting months or even years. Keeping a crew alive, healthy, and mentally stable on such a journey is a massive challenge. But what if we didn't need to keep them awake the whole time? What if we could safely induce a controlled hibernation, inspired by the survival tactics of microscopic creatures? It's no longer just a dream, it's a scientific pursuit. And the key to unlocking it all might come from one of the smallest life forms on Earth. So what do you think? Could the key to immortality really be hidden in these tiny organisms that defy time and death? It's curious to think that while we search for grand solutions, the answers might be where we least expect them. Did you know about these amazing abilities of rotifers? What other discoveries about life would you like to see on this channel? Leave your thoughts in the comments. Your participation makes all the difference. And if you want to keep exploring the mysteries of science and life with us, don't forget to subscribe and hit the notification bell. That way, you won't miss any new videos that could change how you see the world. After all, learning has never been this fascinating. And who knows, the next secret uncovered might be yours.